Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy. I'm here with my co-host,
Heather Baker.
And we are here with DeLakes. We are with Drew and Elizabeth. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. We're so excited because this is the first time we get to talk on any radio program, and I think it's a perfect fit.
This is awesome! Yay! We love that. We love that. Well, we'll start with our spelling bee. No. Let me tell you right now, we will never start with the spelling bee. No.
Okay,
No. We have been enjoying listening to your music, and we really are enjoying the album that you're coming out with soon. Unforgettable Cheer, coming out on June 11th.
Yes.
And I guess we'll start there because it's a little different than some of your past music. But before we talk about that, we'll talk about what's coming out, and maybe even just start with, tell us a little bit about how you guys all got together, because you're a big band. There are 7 of you.
There are a lot of us in this band. Yeah, we have. It's nice because these are all people that we've been working with a lot of them for a while. So I think I'm the common denominator. I am indeed the common denominator, I guess. I've worked with some of these people with various performance art things that I've put together with them. So we have like two people who join us live, Joni Griffin and Kim Schneider, who join us live, and they do a lot of fun, wacky stunts and weird sketches and interact they do some dancing and some like audience engagement stuff, which is always, I think, why I like performing with us as much.
I can't think if it's on Bandcamp or the website or someplace where they're listed as the fun makers.
They're the fun makers, exactly. There are fun makers, exactly.
That's what I want to be when I grow up, right there.
I know. I was like, if you need backup, we want to join to be the fun makers. I love that title.
We'll have you as extra fun makers, because we always have like these weird giant ideas where like, what if we did a giant cat's cradle? And they're like, okay, we can totally do that, but we're only 2 people, and like, what if the audience doesn't understand what we're doing? And so,
well, you gotta be careful what you ask for, because they will invite you.
And like,
I
seriously
have an idea for the shanties, the art shanties that they do.
Yeah.
I wanted to do cat's cradle.
Mm.
I thought they should. That is so funny that you should. I haven't thought about that in years.
Okay.
I can do cat's cradle, but I couldn't do it. But
you're gonna join us now.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome to the Lakes.
I was a master at cat's cradle back in the day. I thought that the most fun shanty, had it all strung up, and then just give people string.
It's so interactive, and as soon as you have any of those cat's cradle type string games, people instantly are just like hands-on. I want to be interacting with this. So yeah, I mean, okay. Welcome to DeLakes.
All right, well, we're planned.
Yeah. We'll get our uniforms ready.
They usually are matching. The 2 of them live together, so they usually show up with like really weird stuff put on. We're like, all right, good, yeah.
Let it be a macrame bikini. I've been looking for it.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a chance. Not a chance.
Yeah. Perfect.
I was joking. That's not going to happen.
Darn it.
All right. So we've heard about the fun makers. Tell us about the.
Yeah. And so those 2 I met through just various performance art things. My good friend Elizabeth here and I have been very, very, very close friends since
since freshman year.
Freshman year of college, yeah. So
Nice.
It's been 8.
Coming up on 9 or 10.
9 or 10 years. We're getting close to our decade-long friendship celebration.
Exactly.
Nice.
So we've done a lot of, I performed in your recital.
Yeah, we've done like a ton of things together over the years. Just kind of starting to write and make stuff together. But
yeah.
I am backup vocals for Drew, and then I also play one of our synth organs.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's always so fun seeing just
And
like,
the tambourine.
And the tambourine, yeah, we also have the tambourine. Yeah, that was actually, maybe I won't go into that story. Well, so on the first rehearsal that we had, we were getting together. I think most of us knew each other at that point, but
yes, except for our bassist.
I hadn't met our bass player Graydon yet. He is a friend of both our drummer and our keyboardist, and our drummer I grew up next to. We've known each other practically like a majority of our lives, essentially. And then our keyboardist I've known through him. But we hadn't met our bass player, Graydon. And so, of course, just being the very serious people that we are, I introduced Elizabeth as my girlfriend. And she
as the tambourine player.
Yeah, and we just need to be together all the time. So she's gonna play tambourine for us. And Elizabeth like picked up and was like, wow. I think was like a little startled. So yeah, that's us. We've known each other in various ways for many years. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I should also add that our drummer Ben, our keyboardist, our synth player Patrick, and our bass player Graydon are all jazz musicians. And so they're like very, very deep into the jazz community here and like play both shows that they lead and shows that they're groups that they're playing in. And so I think it's really fun for both of us to be able to interact with very different styles of music.
Yeah,
I can throw pop stuff at them and they can like give me ideas to make things a little bit more interesting here and there. So yeah, that's the crew, all 7 of us.
That's awesome because you guys have a great sound and indie glam pop.
I think that. So. Yeah, I think that's kind of how it goes. It's like the glam is definitely more of the live performance. The pop, I mean, they're pretty standard pop songs, but it's also weird enough to be called indie, I guess. Yeah.
I used to listen to a lot of noise, a lot of dark ambient. I used to go to a lot of very late night gigs.
Oh yeah.
So you guys would be the band that would start at like 2 a.m.
Yes, kind of though. Yeah. I mean, we almost actually were going to do Drone Not Drones 2 years ago, like the year before the pandemic. We were going to do Drone Not Drones, but I think there was like some odd thing with the scheduling where they were like, oh my gosh, we like didn't put you on here. We don't have a time. So we're like, whatever, we'll do it next time. And then the pandemic hit. But yeah, I've done a lot of, that's funny that you say that, some like dark ambient music. I've done a lot of like drone and gamelan music with both the groups Balangeti, which is Munir Kar's group, and also more recently Satu Jiwa, which is a group of different musicians. We performed at the Weissman last month as for their grand reopening after the pandemic. So, and you were there. That's right. And you were there. Yeah. So that's the other side of the the Drew Kellum musical express train is from pop to like terrifying experimental fun sound exposure. So
yeah. Well, the Weissman was beautiful. It was amazing. I really enjoyed that. I might have ended up there anyways.
Yeah.
Munir and Liz Draper were kind of
you know Liz. Yeah. Liz
that was kind of the main connection that I was. I mean, as I said, it's the kind of thing I'd go to anyways. You know. I mean,
it's so exciting. It's so fun being able to listen and perform with that type of music. Yeah.
It was really a fabulous show. But for folks who weren't there, just give us the high level description of it.
Yeah, so I mean, with this performance, the Weissman reached out to us, and they reached out to my former guitar professor, Maya Radovan, who I still am greatly in touch with. But we organized a group. It was, let me see, it was Tasha Barron, Munir, Maya, myself. Oh my gosh. There's so many people. I won't even try to keep going with names. There are a lot of incredible performers, though. Nima was another person. And we're given pretty loose instructions of just, let's have you improvise throughout the entire museum. And you can really utilize all these different spaces, both as part of COVID protocol, as well as just interacting with the reverberation of each room and interacting with the art that's in each different location and each different gallery. And so, simply put, we started off with doing solos throughout the entire museum. We then got together into smaller duos. Then we switched into 2 trios. And from there, we played a piece that the pianist and keyboardist Nima had composed, and we kind of turned it into more of an improvised piece. So it was just a lot of like interacting with the art around the galleries.
It was gorgeous. And I think I must have gotten there just before I was there for the grand finale.
Oh, good. Yeah, which was super exciting part as well. Yeah.
So that's fantastic. What also cracks me up is how many gamelan groups are there in the Twin Cities? Because I thought you would name the one I know, and you didn't.
Wait, which one were you thinking of?
The Novelty.
Oh, the Novelty, of course. Well, yeah. And so, how many Gamelan groups are there? Okay, probably more than anyone would expect, I guess.
Well, you already 3 is already more than I would have. That
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. So it's really exciting to be able to play with those because you really have to adjust your ear to the different tonalities. And so like you'll be playing, which is nice for cello, which is the instrument that I play in those groups. Since it's not a fretted instrument, I can kind of glide around with the pitches a little more easily. But man, yeah, some of it's really, really interesting to get used to at first. It's so beautiful.
Well, and again, for folks who don't know what it is, can I just ask you to describe it a little bit?
Yeah, and of course I will not be the most professional descriptor of this, but this is music, at least when who I'm performing with again, Munir, who's from Indonesia. And so a lot of these are traditional Indonesian instruments, and the gamelan system of tuning is not, from what I understand, is not exactly like, what is it, well-tempered? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not like exactly well-tempered tuning. And a lot of it has to do with like tubular bells and instruments that are similar to xylophones. And there's a lot more percussion added in. And from what I understand, a lot of the performances will go on for like an entire night. Yeah. And so we were kind of trying to do that pre-pandemic, thinking of doing maybe try something at the Ivy rehearsal studio. I can't remember if that's exactly what it's called, but we're gonna try to do like an overnight gamelan concert. We're just like, come on in, so play. Cool. Wouldn't that have been fun? Yeah. One day.
It's fun to hear about all of this because it really is two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
With the indie glam pop, I mean, they seem like they're far apart, but they are really often in the same room.
They are, in fact, actually. So because I think I kind of over the last few years have kind of tried to develop a little bit more of like an idea with music creation that I can kind of follow and apply to all these different areas, and I've kind of been really fixated on pointillism, like the art movement of just like finding all these like microscopic details that can be put into a larger picture. And so with the Lakes, I kind of see pointillism through a production standpoint of like, okay, if the bass is happening right here, let's have the guitar happen in between that. Let's have the voice be doing a totally drastically different, melody compared to what this instrument's doing. And so just kind of piecing everything together like that. And I think it goes the same way with improvising music is, what am I hearing and what do I feel isn't being represented right now and how can I add that in? So, yeah, they are related. You're right. They are related.
Well, and as I said, unless you're sometimes there at 2 a.m. that, places I can't even name. Like this is not FCC compliant. I guess I could name some of the places. You don't know that there's kind of a point where it switches because it really there is that uniqueness and there is that filling spaces that aren't filled.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, definitely 2 a.m. You'll definitely have a different mindset for that when you're coming up with stuff. That's for sure.
It is. It's great. Well, and it's great because that is a crowd that will be on the dance floor.
Oh, I know, exactly. No matter what you're doing, they're like, yes, hit those tubular bells more,
That reverb.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, how many instruments are in this? It's like 3 performers and 8 reverb plates,
Well, and then to kind of bring it around to what you're doing now. So the pointillism, and that's awesome. I love that description of it. But it is. How did you just think we're going to go poppier with this?
I don't know. I think I've always just really loved pop music. I mean, no, I won't even say I always loved pop music. I feel like I've definitely had my moments where I've been like, oh, pop music is...
Well, it gets such a bad rap.
It gets such a bad rap. I mean, like, think about pop artists where people are like, oh my gosh, it's like listening to Nickelback played in reverse and then slowed down. You're like, oh gosh, we've created depression pop or something. but I think when I was writing this music, I was kind of starting to get back into more of the original bands that I kind of fell in love with as a kid, like like of Montreal, Belle and Sebastian, the New Pornographers, if I can say that. Apologies if you have to mute that later. But you know, a lot of these like indie pop bands that were around in like the mid-aughts and what I kind of grew up listening to, and it kind of was like the launching point of like, oh, there's other music out there that, you know, isn't getting as much attention. I wonder how deep this goes. And then all of a sudden you're playing 2 a.m. at some random like basement doing gamelan music. So so yeah, I think it was kind of just like a reprise into like music that I was listening to, and just like, you know, everyone is like, oh, life was so much more simple back then. I think that was kind of what I was trying to go for, and I was missing that in a lot of new music that was being released, is that I feel like, and I think, well, you were even talking about this, you might even have more to say about it, but just like the nostalgia factor.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like listening to bands as a kid, because I think there's so much nostalgia just built into music, the lyrics, and then in kind of this strange meta way, just the way that we recorded it, because we did it. You know, we played all these songs together. We decided to record it, and that's kind of when everything was shut down. And so we recorded it apart. You know, we weren't spending that time together. We weren't rehearsing ever together. And so I think there was kind of a nostalgia built into the recording itself. And so I'm hoping that, as you know, we slowly kind of climb out of this crisis that we've all been a part of, that the nostalgia will really kick in, and that people will find kind of a lot of joy and new songs, and just the joy of being able to kind of dance it out and just enjoy really fun pop songs.
Exactly. It's like we'll be like the liver of the like proverbial musical body that just filters out all the toxins.
I had to write that one down.
But yeah, I think you're totally right though, because we were like sort of talking about a few things, like, oh, what should we say on the show? You know, what should we be talking about? And I think nostalgia was a big one. Yeah. Of just a lot of the lyrics are, of course, you know, like reflecting on like times from the past and like really good memories and things like that. And I think that's, I mean, unknowingly at the time of writing it, I think that's maybe something that we're all hyper fixated on right now, is thinking both optimistically for the future, but also trying to even just remotely recall the like very innocent feelings of joy that we were able to have pre-pandemic, of not like, oh my gosh, I can hug you without, you know, risking killing 18 of your grandmas, you know.
Well, it's really well, it's with Unforgettable Cheer, the song, when you talk about sweet memories, I mean, that's and you know you're reaching when you're talking about sweet memories and negative freezing degrees.
Oh, I know. If you can have a good time when it's freezing out, you're doing all right.
But there's something, I mean, I love anything that's, if not uniquely Minnesotan, at least kind of uniquely cold weather places.
Oh yeah,
like,
exactly.
Oh yeah. And especially in the last year, like, oh, I do miss those snow days when we'd be 7 of us on a sled, you know.
Yeah, we didn't really get that. And even, I know that even though, you know, it's outdoors, so it might be like a little more remotely safe. I know that the winter was just so brutal with COVID numbers that it just wasn't worth anyone getting together, really.
Well, you miss those times when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Play.
Exactly.
I think playfulness is big.
This is a big one. In fact, we had a blog do a critique of one of our songs, and he described it as being very, well, I can't remember what it was, but he like described it as being like very playful, and not in a bad way. Which I was like, wow, thank you for clarifying that. But like, also it is playful, like in both a good and I suppose a bad way too. Sure, why not? It's just playful.
It's just own it. That's good.
Just own it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it is so playful that it's hard to imagine you guys recording it remotely, because and as I said, well, I've seen you at the Wiseman, but I haven't seen you all play together. But the videos that I've seen, I mean, it's a show. It's an interaction. So to play it when you're not in the same room, that had to stretch the muscles.
Yeah, it
maybe
really
heart
does.
Muscles, Eddie.
Oh, honestly, I mean, when we were recording it, it was super nice. Like when I would be recording Elizabeth's vocals, because I guess for the recording procedure, what we did was I recorded all of it and originally started mixing it, but just like with how much work that was and just, you know, not having had a degree in the art of acoustic sound and mixing and mastering and stuff. I actually sent it over to someone who I could talk for ages about how much I love and appreciate this person. Her name is Leslie Braden, and she mixed and mastered the album. She lives out in Tacoma, Washington, but she was the one who put it all together essentially after I had recorded it. But you know, like Elizabeth and I would be recording, and it'd be like a very special moment because we could both be like, hey, we're both COVID safe. Let's knock this out real quick. Let's just get all these songs done and just like hang out on the back patio and drink some lemonade, you know?
Yeah.
So like, it was just like one of those really good excuses to get together in times where you just aren't necessarily just texting someone saying, hey, let's hang out later, you know? So.
When you have to like be very intentional about the way that you draw on
Yeah.
memories and being very specific about it in order to kind of capture that in the recording itself, kind of using your memory to kind of fill in the gaps of what might not be there in the textures yet.
Exactly.
And Leslie did an amazing job kind of helping us
Yeah.
pull all that together, but I think it was definitely, yeah, again, just kind of like relying on what you remember from rehearsals or from shows
Yeah.
and trying to bring that energy and imagine and then make really specific choices on the recording itself. So it was kind of a fun challenge in a way. You know, it was difficult, it was a little sad, but it was a challenge, and it was kind of, you know, we'll never really, hopefully never have that
I know.
opportunity again.
The opportunity, that's what it'll go.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of challenges, I really gave Elizabeth the run for her money because, of course, for recording vocals, we're trying to like create a more drier sound to like add different effects later on. And so I had Elizabeth singing into my closet. So she's like singing into my socks and
Yeah.
shirts and underwear and stuff. So she's like trying to muster up like this really like emotional, powerful, energetic, you know, ambiance for her parts. And then all of a sudden she like will look up and it's like, all right, there we go. There's the whole wardrobe out on display. So.
You came up with
Oh,
happy sounds. If that's what you're looking, that's impressive.
Yeah. Very, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And they are unabashedly happy. You've got, you have a new single coming out at the end of this. Is it? I have.
14th.
I don't remember what the date is. Next week. May
Yeah,
14th.
yeah, it's coming out. Yeah, it's coming out on Friday the 14th, I think is what it is. Yeah, and it's our song City Boats. Just thinking about, I think I wrote it after seeing the boats on either Bademakoska or Lake Harriet or something. I was just like, oh yeah, nice. Cool.
It's my favorite.
It's a
I think
fun
it's
one,
my
yeah.
favorite, yeah.
Can you tell me the story behind there's one song of yours that vibe, so I want to know if it's the song that I hear it in it too, or has the Prince's vibe to me?
Prince. Oh, the Prince vibe. Oh, wait. Sorry, it cut out for just a second. Which song were you?
Oh, sorry. It's like something 92.7 or something.
Oh, yeah.
The start of that makes me think of Prince.
That's so funny. My aunt said the same thing. She lives out in Indiana though, but she's a huge Prince fan, so she's like very jealous that we live here. but yeah, no, I think Elizabeth and I both have a huge. Well, I think we've had several Prince experiences actually.
Yeah.
We went to a pajama party of his.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. That we back when he would do those shows and he'd announce it just the night of, and me and Elizabeth and a few of our other friends. Any other Lakes people? No, it was just our fans. Yeah. We have friends, and then they're also our fans. But yeah, we went to Paisley Park, so that was a Prince thing. We went to one of his. There was like the only Prince endorsed cover band. We went to that for our friend Christina's bachelorette party, which I snuck into.
Yeah, he's definitely like an important force just in our relationship. So it's such a compliment to.
It is a compliment. I'm so glad that you think that. Were you thinking of that for like the guitar part?
I don't know. I just the beginning, the sound. I know it was more than the guitar because I was like, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it just came into my head.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad that you think that. Yeah. Well, we actually have other exciting Prince news because we were asked to record a single with someone who recorded the Halloween EP, Unforgettable Fear, not Cheer, just to clarify. But we were asked to do this recording, and our drummer Ben knows the person who owns Prince's tambourine, and so we were like, didn't you know that?
I did not know.
Well, you didn't know this?
I'm freaking out.
Wait, you didn't know that?
No.
This is how good I am at spreading information apparently to the band. Yeah. So Ben had Prince's tambourine and used it for this new single that we recorded that we're gonna have for our second album that we're already kind of halfway through. And so yeah, Prince is on our album.
Oh, I have chills.
I didn't know you didn't know that. I'm so sorry.
No, I'm like, wow.
So Prince is the 10th member.
Oh my God.
You two are the 8th and 9th, by the way.
Awesome, thank you. That's great.
So welcome. You're in a band with Prince now.
Nice. I think I got an old guitar pick from Prince I can bring if that's any good to you.
Oh, yeah. Then we can just turn into like a full-out Prince band.
Yeah.
See what else I can pull out. I might have, yeah.
That's awesome, though. Did you get it from one of his Paisley Park shows?
No. I got it from somebody. I know I know his brother. I have some connections there. I did not grow up in the Knots. I maybe used to run into him at First Avenue.
Oh,
I don't want to pretend like he and I are buddies. We're not.
No, I hear you.
Not at all. But I
100% get that. I've had very similar experiences where it's been like, oh yeah, like there was a show at First Ave that was Janelle Monáe opening for Montreal, and of course I'm like, oh my God, two of my favorite artists. I can't wait to go. And he had his like posse surrounding him. So of course, like the next day at school, I'm like, yeah, I was at a concert with Prince last night. Like, yeah, we hung out or something. No. You invited me over. We recorded a song together that's called Gone with Unforgettable Beer. Yeah.
Everyone's got a Prince story. Everyone
does have a Prince story, yeah.
Yeah.
It just shows how like empathetic he was to the community.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he was always, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, a huge stalwart and still having an impact.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, you gotta be real loving to be able to do that.
It's impressive. But the tambourine's going to be featured on the next album.
It'll be on the next album, or at least for that one song. Maybe we'll be able to snatch it for a few other recordings, probably. Fingers crossed.
So you're already working on the next album, but have you been playing any shows, any live shows? I mean, it's a dicey question to ask. I'm sorry, but
no, it is. So our relationship with live shows, we're gonna probably do just like a really simple backyard show because we have a really fun Patreon page that we put together where I'll do like run throughs of our projects in Logic Pro, and so I'll kind of show like the production method that I was going through for this song or that song, or I'll do like instrument tutorials, make playlists and things like that. So our Patreon page is really fun. But we're thinking of doing a Patreon members only at first, because we got a lot of the people are like our friends who like live abroad or like, a family member who like lives in Florida or something. Like for like anyone who's able to make it, we're probably going to do like maybe a very low key acoustic performance.
Yeah.
I think, which would be kind of nice and just like a good way for us to get back into performing together and doing something kind of nice and simple at first. So it's not too much pressure for everyone. Like put on the biggest show in the whole world.
Kind of easing ourselves and everybody else back in.
Yeah, and so we definitely want to do it in a safe way. I mean, our music's supposed to be fun, not deadly, which maybe we'll put that on a shirt or something.
The liver of the proverbial body, and it was supposed to be fun, not deadly.
Yeah, but we did actually. There was one performance that we have done. Well, we did a live stream. We did a live stream.
Pretty fun.
And
Yeah.
the purpose of the live stream, this was another Patreon one,
Mhm.
that we had our Patreon members get to direct how we were going to perform the songs. And this was for the release of our EP, Unforgettable Fear. And
Fear,
so
not to be
we already
confused.
have, as you kind of heard, these like super atonal songs. We can talk about it more later, but like we had these very, very weird songs, and then we had people tell us how to play them. So we had like play it like it's a music box, or well, there was one where it's like death metal, but replace it with country lyrics.
Yeah, we had like a Shania Twain
Yeah.
request. Like,
Yeah, we had
so that was
Shania Twain.
fun.
So they were having me make up country lyrics on the spot over one of our songs, and I
It's
don't
fun.
even remember what
It's
it
good.
was. It was really funny though.
I love this. I love how interactive you allow people to be and are able to do it too, or attempt even.
Yeah. Even just testing it out,
That's-
and you never know what's gonna happen. But have you ever experienced this, like, open question? Has anyone, when you're at a concert and you're just like you're like, oh, I love this. This is so nice. I want like the singer or the band to like interact with like the spot that I'm in, like come over and like sing to us or something, So I don't know. I've always wanted that like interaction element, and I think just being like really creative, like finding
Yeah.
creative ways to do that is really exciting and fresh for us. Yeah.
It's funny because I'm a huge fan of Cuckoo Kangaroo.
Oh my God, we love
Yeah.
Cuckoo
You
You
Kangaroo.
guys should play with Cuckoo Kangaroo. I would go every day and twice on Sunday.
Yes, exactly. And at that, we've actually both been to a few Cuckoo Kangaroo concerts, and I think it's definitely similar energy.
Well, I think you just have to, like, the worst thing that can happen if you don't take a risk is that people feel a little awkward.
And you know what?
That's the worst
It's okay to
thing.
feel awkward.
Yeah,
Like,
so like, and most, I mean, all the time people are excited that you're
Yeah.
bringing them in
Yeah.
to the performance. So,
exactly.
I love the vibe that's created when you just kind of open things up.
Exactly.
And interact.
I think
so.
people want to do it anyway. Also,
Yeah.
we're very threatening looking people and sounding.
Yes,
So
yes.
I think that most of the time they're just like very chill, knowing that like, yeah, this is kind of freaky, but whatever.
Whatever. I could take all 7. Yeah, yes.
Mhm. I could take them on.
It does make it much more of an experience, which is what all of us want so
I know.
badly right now, but also makes it hard unless you are finding unique ways of doing it.
Yeah.
But you don't want to go and do I love a lot of singer-songwriter performances, but you guys don't want to go and do a singer-songwriter performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would work, but I think at this point I'm so used to I think we're both just so used to hearing all the different random sounds that are happening that to strip it down too much would just be like, oh God, they know it's just the regular pop song. Oh God, no. Where's the atonal organ?
And we need those funky bass lines.
We need those
you
funky
know?
bass lines. Yeah, that's God bless.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a song too. Also, there was some really good bass. I wish I would have written. Is it Daily Holiday?
Oh yeah, that has a really fun bass line in it. Yeah. That's a fun one.
I was like, yeah, Red Hot Chili Pepper bass, because then it had the pop around it too. I was like, you guys are so good at texturing that it was crazy cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times when I'm writing bass parts out, I think of it as like a secondary melody to the vocal line. And so I think that's kind of where I try to stray away from doing too many just like, here's the root note, here's the fourth, here's the fifth, back to the root note, So like, I think not to hate on Blitzkrieg Bob.
It's fun to watch you and Graydon in rehearsal though, because Graydon will show up because all the music is through composed, right? So we all show up with our music ready to be
here's
good
the
little
score, my
musicians
orchestra,
and play, And Graydon will say hey, what did you mean here? What do you want here? And Jewel will be like, well, this is what I had in mind, but you don't have to do any of that. And Graydon's like, no, I'll do what I like.
Yeah, well, so I've been
it's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, I've been experimenting a lot with layering bass parts, having one central bass part and then having two that are kind of panned left and right to kind of give a little bit more of a stereo sound. And I think bass harmony is one of the most beautiful things. I mean, that's very common on some like earlier Pharoah Sanders albums. Like I think it's in Elevation, that album. He has 2 bass players playing with him. I think even some Alice Coltrane music has some double bass parts too. But then, you also hear it in, of course, like one of our probably like biggest inspirations probably of Montreal. They have a lot of double bass parts as well. And so I'll like send these over to him and he'll be like, well, if I tune the string this way, or like if I like grow another finger, then yeah, I can play this, and he will. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like I could not have been more lucky.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's
really amazing. Gosh.
Well, I'm happy you should do. Munir's got the Beyond Wednesday series at House of Balls. You should.
Oh, that's actually a good idea. I don't know if I've told you about that much. He does we should go, because I think actually Satajiwa, which was the Weissman group, I think we're going to be performing in June.
Oh, cool.
I'll let you know.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I know we're performing that, but I didn't even think about that. I think a Lakes thing might actually be kind of fun. Yeah. Are you? Yeah, Heather, are you going to some of those soon?
Going to what? The House of Balls?
Oh my gosh! Wow, that was incredible. I switched your names around.
I was like, let's see how this one.
Hi Heather. Hi Ann.
Hey, that's easy to do.
Okay.
That's easy to do.
Brain where that
I am only complimented that you thought I was Heather. It got rained out tonight. But for folks who are listening, it's the House of Balls, which is right in downtown Minneapolis. I'm the worst at giving Minneapolis directions, especially.
Just
it's Cedar Riverside really is how you get there.
Right, kind of by that. You can see it from the highway too.
Yeah, so if you go past the Cedar Riverside apartments and then you go past the light rail, it's on you just follow that like kind of dead end road, and you'd notice it in like 3 seconds. Yeah.
Right. So that and the performances that I've gone to have all been outdoors. So they do Wednesday nights.
Yeah, exactly. And every Wednesday night, and Munir has these like super amazing lineups. And I mean, he's been part of the Minneapolis art and music community for like nearly 2 decades. Well, I think over 2 decades now at this point. And so he has his binder of fun musicians, to quote Mitt Romney loosely. You really don't like that name.
I get it. But anyways, that would be a great place, and that is the safe place to play. Although I have been to a few of them. I guess I just must go on the coldest darn nights of the.
Oh, I know. We had some late October performances, which I was so glad that we were kind of able to push it a little bit and just squeeze out just like a few extra performances before we all had to lock in. But oh my gosh, there was somewhere it was just like, I think my fingers are gonna freeze off playing this right now. My poor cello's probably cracking in half, and
my heart went out to you. It's one, I'm not worried about my fingers falling off. You guys must be, because it was some cold. Yeah.
Yeah, it got pretty nasty at times. Yeah.
So for folks who are listening, it's the House of Balls. It's Wednesday nights, 7 to 10 or something like that. I know they're on Facebook. I don't know if he's announcing them anywhere else.
I think he occasionally will post it on Instagram. I feel like his Instagram's hit or miss. Sometimes it's like, boom, performance, artwork, like super. And that's the other cool thing is Munir has like some of the most beautiful artwork I've seen. And it's like, it works great as art separately. And then also when you like throw it onto a performance poster, it's like, whoa, I want to be there, Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always a fun, that's why I would think that you guys would be a great mix. It's always kind of a full experience.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. I should let him know. Why haven't I done that before? Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm happy to help. There you go. I've earned my place at the fun maker table.
Yeah, exactly. You've been indoctrinated into the club.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that'll be, I can only imagine that folks are excited to see you because your Patreon page, and it sounds like you have a lot of great information there, especially folks who have a deep interest in music. And I think the Patreon page is a great, especially in the last year, is a great way for people to support musicians. So I want it.
It really is. Yeah. I know a lot of, small to big time artists or maybe medium sized artists, since, you know, like most of their income is coming from performance, since, you know, physical sales of albums and music have just gone down so much. And then you have, you know, streaming services assuming they don't have to pay fairly because like, oh, you'll make it up this way. Well, they haven't, you know, changed their prices, and performance has just stopped essentially. So yeah, Patreon has really has really made up for a lot of missed opportunities this last year. Yeah.
That's good. So I always like to give folks a plug
Good. Oh,
to
thanks.
look at your Patreon because it's because we want to see music after once we can all be together in the same room. And the only value that's going to happen is if people support it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No more guest lists, folks. Gone are the days. No.
I know. I just had a moment of that the other day, and I was like, I can't ask. Maybe I can ask if I can, because everything sells out so quickly now. I'm like, maybe I can ask if I can pay for an extra ticket. But I was like, no, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend the other day, and she was asking. I can't even remember it was like some goofy thing I posted on Instagram, but she was like, actually though, what is the best way to support artists? And I think you remember the post. It was a wild one. God, yeah. But yeah, so she was like, actually, what is the best way to support artists right now? And I was like, well, I mean, I've done this in the past where like, even if I can't make it to a show, but I really want to support the artist, but mostly this is like local stuff that's like, you know, far more affordable. I'll just like buy a ticket. I can't make it, but like at least I can help out a little bit, you know? So there's always ways you can get creative. It's not scary to support artists.
No.
You know?
And it's self-serving, as I said.
It is, honestly.
We want to see you later. We better pay you now.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's going away, but people still have to live. So.
Funny about that? Funny
I
about
know.
That? Yeah. Yeah.
Weird how that works, right?
Totally shifting because you had something I don't know if it was on I don't know where I saw it that you'd written about that you're seeking out beauty through a magnifying glass.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if someone said that about you or you did, but I thought that was kind of an amazing approach.
Yeah, I don't actually remember. I probably wrote that sometime. I feel like I think most artists can relate. I'm just like, oh, I have to write a bio. Oh, I have to write a bio. Oh, I should write a bio. And then all of a sudden you have like 17 bios. like, oh my gosh, I need to find this. But yeah, I mean, I think what I was kind of referencing to that is that I want the music to come across as very natural and joyful, and it doesn't have to be like hyper analytical, but if you were to dig into it, like there is a lot of compositional work that was put into these, and just like ensuring that like voicings were correct, and ensuring that, which I think, you know, after a certain point you can kind of be like, okay, I mean, come on, you don't have to like put that much work into it, but that's kind of the stuff that I find fun. It's like a Sudoku puzzle in a way, you know? Yeah. And so I think like seeking beauty through a magnifying glass would just kind of be like, you can find all these like real, again, kind of at the pointillism, you can kind of like zoom really close into these like very microscopic points, and then from there create this like larger imagery. Yeah.
I like that very much. And it reminds me, Elizabeth, you were saying earlier, if you know, you get into some of the specifics of things that happen that help with the nostalgia and help with the, you know, that remembering.
Exactly. It's like, can you make really specific choices and then, you know, practice so much that you're flawless and it's crisp, and then you get this really lovely, playful, joyful sound that really kind of is supported by like complexity and depth and interest. You know, I think that's kind of like the sweet spot that I think a lot of Drew's music really touches on. You know, it's like that kind of intersection point of like and just sophistication, but then also just like joyful, like an emphasis on enjoyment and just losing yourself kind of in the sound and not having to really think about that, but being supported by it.
Academic goofiness. No.
It's super smart, but accessible, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
but I think we've been talking about art. You think of some of the art that's out there too, and I bring this up a lot in our interviews because I was so impressed with the Je suis le cahier, No, the name just totally went out of the
Oh, that's
Picasso.
totally fine. Oh,
Yeah.
which one?
The Picasso,
Oh, yeah,
Picasso.
yeah.
Just totally. I definitely
that
not brought up in
before.
the knots there. But seeing how he came to his final rendition of art is, to know the story behind something that seems so effortless.
Not to put her on the spot, but someone who's very, very knowledgeable about that happens to be Elizabeth. Do you want to mention what your master's was in?
Well, I'm an art historian by trade, so that's
amazing!
kind of what I do. But yeah, I mean, I completely, totally understand what you're getting at, for sure.
So
it takes a lot of practice to get to the point where you can trust yourself as an artist to make the choices that you want to make, and a lot of So
that's a good,
yeah, I don't know.
Nice. So did you have to do a dissertation or a final project?
Yeah, I did. My thesis and all that, kind of packaged that up, but yeah. I don't know.
So what was it? I have two masters. One I did, one I didn't. Tell us what your project is.
My focus is on kind of late 19th, early 20th century, both in Europe and in Latin America. So the artist that I wrote my dissertation on was Nora Borges. She was an Argentine artist. She's actually the younger sister of Jorge Luis Borges, the writer. So she kind of has a really close connection to poetry and text, kind of through kind of some creative collaborations with her brother. But she's a wonderful, wonderful printmaker and painter. So yeah, I've always really just kind of enjoyed exploring her work and kind of the sense of interiority that lies in her stuff. But yeah.
And I think a lot of just conversations I've had with Elizabeth about that, especially like when I visited you once when you were in grad school, and we like talked about stuff like that. And I think that kind of switched my lyrical writing gears around a little bit, because before I was like, oh, make them like weird and fun and abstract lyrics, and I think talking more about like the relationship between the visual of the painting and the textual context of the painting is something that I was kind of thinking about a lot. Is like, okay, well, I have these songs, how can I ensure that everything is cohesive and I guess pairing up well with itself, and not being too jarring for this example, but maybe jarring as a tool, rather than just arbitrarily being jarring.
Totally. Absolutely. Well, I think you can find a lot of lyricism by kind of relying on visual art to help as you're kind of creating a piece of music.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, because what you do does paint a picture. As I said, just with that, with the negative freezing degrees, when I say paint, or a feeling, creates a feeling or something that's very specific and therefore universal. I think it taps into something.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing. Amazing. I just really like the way that you guys have tied the music and very much together, just from how it's affected the lyricism to playing at the Wiseman. And that's
exactly. It's all connected. We're all connected.
I think that's awesome. For folks who are listening, tell us where they can find you online.
Yeah, you can find us on any streaming service, including Napster. I always like to add that because they pay the most, which is like the funniest thing when no one uses Napster. I'm sure, who's the most popular artist, musician do you think in the world?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Even Taylor Swift is maybe bringing in 5 streams on Napster. But you can find us all on any streaming service. We're also on pretty much most social media. I've kind of strayed away a little bit from Facebook, a little bit from the Zuck book, but on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Drew DeLakes. That's Drew and then the letter D, Lakes. And we just post just posting a lot of fun stuff, band related, some Minneapolis local politics related, things like that. So lots of fun.
Nice. And you've got the Patreon and
our Patreon. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've got a website.
Yeah, we do have a website. That's drewdelakes.com. And that one, I need to get better at updating that now that we actually have some things that we can update You know, I mean, I still try to keep it pretty up to date, but now I can maybe like start adding, I guess eventually some concerts one day.
I know, right?
I know.
Man, do I look forward to that day. I also would look forward to next Friday, May 14th.
Yes.
City Boats is coming out.
City Boats will be coming out. Super excited about that one. We were told that the song doesn't start till halfway through, so make it to halfway through, all right?
That's funny. All right, there we go. Now I'm trying to remember if it took me halfway through or not, but I love the image
who
of
knows?
smiling boats. The boats are smiling. I think it's, well, what's funny, you said, I pictured Lake Harriet or
Oh, good, yeah.
one of those
Oh,
Minneapolis
imagery worked
lakes.
again.
Yeah, so that, and then we've got Unforgettable Cheer on June 11th.
That's correct. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So awesome. So much to look forward to. And I enjoyed talking to you guys so much.
Yeah, likewise, both of you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Ann and Heather. This has been super nice to be able to chat and be able to, well, I guess this is kind of the first time we've had to talk about music in probably like a year and a half, honestly.
Oh,
Well, good.
We're still warmed up, I guess. That's good.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to meet you both. Thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. Well, and I'll be looking for you at the Beyond Wednesdays.
Yes,
Perfect.
good, likewise.
All right.
Good.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thanks. Have a good night, you too.
thanks.